is Innocence, Nonsense. So, do you guys, anybody here an atheist? I kind of am like an atheist light. Because, you know, as I've gotten older, I just seem to kind of hit these coincidences where when you come across them, you're like, man, there is something out there that hates me. You see, I grew up very homosexual, but also very Christian. And kind of one of the experiences of growing up Christian and gay is that you kind of get built with a born-in shame. All right, my coping method is funny. But the thing is I have learned that this idea of sin, the reason why Jesus was perfect is that sin is sin even if you think about it. Like you're still a sinner whether you do it or not. Even thinking about the sin just means that you're forever tainted. That's a rough sell to a 7-year-old gay kid. You know, innocence, nonsense. So I always had kind of trouble with guilt and, more importantly, narking as a kid. I was a narc as a kid because the thing is that when you are scared of authority, you will tell on people. You're just scared. So obviously the brightest choice for an effeminate gay man from the South to butch up was to join the military, and it worked. I had joined the military, and I'd been in about a year, and it was really interesting because I got to actually express myself. I got to go out. I'd always been so awkward and shy because really, you can't make friends because you can't be yourself. So I'd actually had friends for the first time in my life, which is a lot to learn about when you're 19 and you first have friends. You're really on that 13th year stuff. And so we would all go out to parties and we would all drink. And the cool thing about the military is getting caught underage drinking in 2012 was like a death sentence. It was life-ending because they had cut back in the military. At the time, for a long time in the military, you could almost get away with pretty much anything and they would keep you. But in 2012, things were ramping down, and so they pretty much upped the standards. So we, of course, did the bright thing, and we would always drink, and we would go to raves. In 2012, dubstep was hot, and I was too. But, you know, maybe I can blame it on my Christian background. Anytime anybody would bring out any type of drug, I would just be like, no, I am not going to touch the devil's lettuce. These lips are for the Lord. And the thing is that just because I didn't do that, that didn't mean that I judged my friends who did. So I had a friend, let's just say his name is Schmelzorp, and he smoked weed a lot. And you're not really supposed to do that when you have a top secret clearance and you work for the NSA. Because we were all linguists. Side trip, I'm a Persian, Farsi, Afghan, Dari linguist. So we were learning these foreign languages in California. And right after you spend about 2 years in Monterey, California, some of the most beautiful places on the planet are there. Big Sur is gorgeous. You're surrounded by a lot of like-minded people. You're all young, you're all excited. And then they send you to San Angelo, Texas. And San Angelo, Texas is famous for sheep. Their claim to fame. So not really worth anything. And there's like a phenomenon where a bunch of birds will just fly over San Angelo and just leave. That's because there's nothing worth shitting on in San Angelo. So in San Angelo, after we had done 2 years, we had done all of this life-threatening stuff. Not really, but it was just scary. We had to learn this language in like 9 months. Everything was super hectic, and then you had to learn another language, and it was just the most difficult academic thing you'd ever done. But you were doing it in this beautiful place, and you were doing it with friends. But really, it was like college, but they yelled at you. And it was awesome. And then we go to San Angelo, and it's kind of the home run stretch, really. You know, nothing's that hard there. You're just kind of learning how to be good in like secure buildings and all the security procedures. But here's the thing. There was a big kind of push by the military internal police called OSI. And so during this time, they were kind of hunting down anybody that was involved in drug use. And the thing is that when you're in kind of law enforcement and you get more points for busting more people, you're kind of encouraged to find more people to bust or to make people more bustable. So in 2013, the OSI had started something called the Eagle Eye program. So they had this really brilliant idea that if they had caught you doing something wrong, like say an underage drinking, or maybe you pop positive on a drug test, you could be a professional snitch. And if you caught someone doing something worse, you would basically get off free. See, the problem is, being an undercover policeman takes a lot of training, and those are just people that want to find something to keep their lives normal. So Schmelzorp found this beautiful woman named Galadriel. And so Galadriel had kind of tempted Schmelzorp, and he had Vicodin from his wisdom teeth getting removed, and she's like, "Oh my God, Schmelzorp, I'm in so much pain, and I need you to give me Vicodin at 9 p.m. Tuesday in front of this building, looking south." And so my friend, being brilliant, beautiful, kind, and retarded, he gave Galadriel all of these Vicodin pills. He gave her one. And I didn't know this was happening. You see, my thing was I had almost gotten caught, which is almost as scary as getting caught, drinking like 6 months prior. So I was like, whoa. I passed the super hard language thing, so I'm gonna be straight. I'm not gonna clean, I'm not gonna touch anything. I'm not gonna drink or anything. So I stopped partying, because I was like, all I have to do is I have to wait. And so we were working night shift, and I'm sitting in my dormitory. Air Force people, by the way, live in dormitories. It's because they're better than others. And so I'm sitting in my dormitory, and it's uniform day, where we have to wear our super nice uniforms. And I get a knock on the door, and the sergeant goes, "Oh, okay, OSI wants to see you." Me, being naive, I thought everything was fine. So I just marched my happy ass over. They're gonna give me a medal or something. And they sit me down in this room, and then they do the really nice introductions. They're just like, "Hi, my name's Gimli, and this is, I believe in security people. My name's Gimli, and Ragnarok, whatever." And they sat me down and they told me all these nice things, and then they started talking about drugs. And now immediately, all of this time where I'd been like proud of like conquering the language, being super fit, just melted. I turned into that 7-year-old boy that was like, "Oh, I'm gay, I'm bad." And they sat down for 3 hours and they're like, "Oh, we know you drank, we know you did it." I told them about my friends. I told them, "Okay, they smoked weed. I never did." And they were just like, "Well, we're gonna find out if you did." And it was just all this time. And in fact, it was 3 hours. They just asked me to be like, "If you're lying, tell us the truth." Because I didn't know until later that they actually don't really have any proof. They just want you to say things, which works great on a 7-year-old gay boy that's frightened of Jesus. And so I became this massive snitch, and you know, I was just begging them, like, "Hey, you know, I haven't done anything." They're like, "No, you're not Innocence. That's nonsense. You're telling us you know all these people, and we know that you hang out with them, and you're you're part of the code, you're a gay gang of people or whatever. And so I got off clean because all of my friends stood up for me and they're like, no, you never did anything. And I went to their court as their witness. Cool fact, my friend, his case got dropped. He didn't get dishonorably discharged for giving that girl Vicodin. Because it turns out that's entrapment when you ask somebody to do a crime. So screw those guys. I was going to use the F word, but I didn't warn people.
Fluoride?
So, and bringing it back to that close of, I have trouble being an atheist because sometimes coincidences just prove that there's something out that hates me. 6 months after this entirely traumatic experience where they just lock you in this room, they grill you and they tell you that your whole life is flashing before your eyes. So 6 months after that, right before I get to it, I have to do survival training. It's called SEER. And then they go ahead, they sit you down, and they teach you how interrogation works. And you're like, oh, that's what they were doing to me. If I had waited 6 months, I'd be good. Because they always said, like, it was perfect, because they taught you that really, it doesn't matter anything, as long as you just don't get them to say anything. So it's like, it doesn't matter even if you aren't innocent. Because the thing is, innocence is nonsense. So thank you.